All right, so first thing you want to do is let's make sure that we're on the right version of the software. Okay? So as a DM, you need to call your employees, whoever comes in first shift, or what I recommend is you physically go into the stores yourself to check and make sure that your computer is on the latest version of the software. So we're going to go through how you do that. So from a login perspective, we need you guys to log in as admin. Okay, so let's log in. The login as admin is Darius, that's Darius, and the password is tax breaks 13. Now, what this login is it's our administrative login, which allows you to log into the software to have administrative rights to set up a few things. So, as we get going, we're going to set up a few things to make sure that the system is up to date, and there's a few other functionalities that's in the software that we need to check and make. As the software comes up here, also we're going to also go through how to set up your pay prepare logins. If you've not done this yet with your individuals, we're going to walk through how to do that. Sorry. So here we are. The first thing that you come to is work in progress screen. Okay, there's a couple of things on here that are important to note when you look at this. First and foremost, okay, look at the screen. In the middle of the screen, at the very top, you'll see a black bar. To the left, you'll see a user ID. This user ID is important. When you guys call into tech support or into tax support, the one thing that they're going to ask you for is the user ID. You need to know the user ID for every location. What that does is help us identify the type of client that you are, because we do tech support and tax support for all our clients, not just our Family Dollar franchises. And it also lets them know what location you're located in. So we need to know the user ID. Secondly, it takes a look at the tax year. Obviously, that's 2012. What that means is that we're on 2013 software for preparation of 2012 taxes. The next thing is the version. If you guys to date are on anything less than 2013.019, your employee is not on the updated software. So that means two things. If you're still on 001, it typically means that you have the wrong EFIN records in there. We need to get that to you, okay? And I'm going to go through how you can tell that. And also, if you see that, if you're on version 001, you need to immediately contact tech support or send an email to support@taxbreakspro.com. Okay? So the first thing that you want to do every morning when your employee comes in, period, is you want to transmit to central site. Okay? Transmit to central site. What that does is communicate with here at the corporate office on any of the updates, um, anything that's happening right now, any of the latest management records, registration. If we push down something new, that's what happens. Now, for whatever reason, I'm getting an error code. So typically, what would happen, it would say transmission successful, and then from that standpoint, you just tell it okay. Okay. The next thing that you want to look at, make sure that you don't have any software updates. Okay. Once you transmit to central site, those or main office in your case, you'll see software updates that are over there. So if you have software updates, you need to install those software updates. Once you get those software updates installed, the system will ask you to install them. You're going to say okay. Once they're installed, it's going to ask you to restart. Once you restart, you're going to go right back into the software with the same user ID and password, which is Darius. Okay? So a couple of things to check. Let's first check the database. Okay? Database is at the top left-hand corner. And in the database, you'll see EF originators. Okay? Your first indication as to whether or not you're on the right software, the EFIN record should be 806-888. It should have that in there. If yours just has 808, 847, you're on the wrong software version, the wrong EFIN record, and you need to contact support immediately. Okay, if you can't get a hold of support, get a hold of myself or Troy or Darius so that we can fast track getting you guys on the right version of the software. Okay? So let's take a look at that. Okay, so let's make sure that we're on the right version, the right EFIN record. Okay, if you want to double click in there, what that EFIN record should show you is the ERO's name, which is Tax Breaks for Dalen Roberts, the address. It shows all this information. Okay. All right. Second thing you want to do now, let's set up. We need to set up a paid preparer for all your employees. Okay. So we're going to go to the paid preparer, and we're going to add a name. Okay. The preparer ID. What I would recommend is that you use your first initial and last initial. And I'll explain to you why. Because once we create a preparer shortcut, it only allows you to have so many characters. So an easy way or easy scheme to do that is the first initial, last name. So let's add another one. Okay, so once this comes up, it's going to see, you'll see where it asks for preparer social, name, all this information that's in here. All right, so a couple things. One, because of the new laws, the software does not require a PTIN. Okay, so in this case, all they're asking for is the only fields that you need to populate is the preparer social. Okay. Now we're going to put the preparer's name. Okay. The PTIN is not required anymore, as I mentioned. The firm's address, 2775 Villa Creek Drive, and that is Suite 275. The EIN number is 454 08. Oh, I'm sorry.
But don't go back. Correct. Just keep going. Because I'll cut. Just start over from here.
So, quick little adjustment. I'm sorry. The firm's name should be Tax Breaks. I put that in the wrong information. Okay. The EIN number should be 454 880 Okay. Firm's address should be 2775 Villa Creek and Drive, and that is Suite 275, and that is in Dallas, Texas, 75234. Okay. Preparer type will always be registered tax return preparer. Okay. Phone number, the office phone number is 214-919-0158. Cell phone number, this is where your preparer can put their own cell phone number. Okay? And whatever their cell phone carrier is. Email address. The email address will be info@taxbreakspro.com. Now, also, if your preparer has a signature pad at their location, this is where they can go ahead and sign their name on the paid preparer. You simply would go to the capture, pull out the signature pad, Sign your name. Hit accept. Now your signature will be populated on the return as the person that prepared the return. You want to save that, and now it's there. Okay? So next thing we need to do now is set up a login account for that pay prepared. So we're going to go to setup, and we're going to go to the login accounts. Now, once you do that, you're going to notice a whole bunch of logins set up in here. Okay? Disregard any of those. Don't touch any of those. Don't modify any of those. Don't do anything. We're going to add a new one. Now, you notice it asked me for a login ID. This is why I said use first initial and last initial, because that needs to match the login ID for the pay prepared that you just created in order to pull over those same records. So in this case, I'm putting in that. I'm going to put in my name again. And mind you, the login ID, KJ, is what I am going to use to log in. Okay, password. They can make the password whatever they want. Me personally, I would instruct them to keep it generic just in case you ever have to go in there and make any modifications to it. Okay. Their access level can be administrator. Okay. Reason being, let's leave it as administrator. They can't do anything to harm anything in the system, guys. But if by chance there's ever any system errors and you're not there, you can walk them through it. If they don't have admin rights, then they got to log out and log back in under another login. So let's give them admin rights and keep it as administrator. Okay. The prepare shortcut ID. This is important because this brings over all the paid prepare information again as well. That needs to be the same as the login ID. Okay. All right, and then you want to make sure that from a questionnaire standpoint, you put English. Okay, because we'll talk about the questionnaire in a minute. Then we're going to hit OK. Oh, typed in the wrong password. And the password is case sensitive. There we go. Okay, so now that we have that created, we're going to close. A couple things that I want you guys to check. Okay, under the setup, let's go into office setup. Under the registration tab, we want to make sure that receipt required is unchecked. Okay, some of you guys may notice that if you're getting an error when you verify and it's asking for the receipt number, it's because that box is checked. That box needs to be unchecked, and you will not have that error. Okay. Under the next tab, we want to make sure that auto generate pins is tabbed. On the override screens, we want to make sure that the site ID is not checked as required. We want to make sure that that is unchecked. Again, when some of you guys verify and it's asking for the site ID, that's because you have that checked. Under the defaults tab, all that is okay, and that's the only thing that you need to check on it. Now let's go up on the setup and let's go to printer setup. Okay, on the printer setup, we want to make sure that these two buttons are checked: the prompt for tax return PDF and the use DDI printer interface. Okay, that's under printer settings. Under return printing, you want to make sure that both of these last boxes are checked under prepare and under client. We want to check send to printer and send to archive. Without send to archive checked, nothing goes to, when we print a copy of the return, it doesn't go to the document archive for us to email it out. So if you notice you tried to send a copy of the signed return and you've not been able to, it's most likely because those two boxes are not checked. So now we go under the print options screen, The only thing that we need to make sure is checked is the doc archive on Windows XP. Okay? And then we're going to hit OK. Now we've made for sure that our system is up to date, all the settings are correct. We can now log out and log back in as ourselves. Okay. Now that we're in, first thing that we need to always do again is we need to transmit to central site. Again, I'm having an error with this one, but typically you will transmit to main office, I'm sorry, is what yours would say. And what this does is any registration, any changes that's made either here or locally will pick up. After that, you just tell it OK. Again, I'm going to look to see if there's any software updates. If there's nothing, now my system is up to date and it's time for me to prepare a return. So client sitting in front of me, I got the questionnaire in front of me. They've signed, they filled it out, and they want either an estimate or, in my particular case, at this point in time, guys, there's no such thing as estimates. Everything should be in return mode for you guys. So the first thing you want to do is add new. This box is going to come up that's asking you to populate the social. So let's populate it. You may have to put it in twice. Okay, so first thing you see now is the client data screen. This information is self-explanatory, okay? Because I went in and I populate the pay prepare, all this information is automatically filled out for me. It already has the pay prepare ID, site ID, the owner, the EFIN. If I look at the 8879, sorry, I got to put in the filing status first. If I look at the 8879 here, where you guys typically have been saying I got to type that information in, it's already there. Okay, so because I created a paid prepare and associated that with that login account, it automatically pulls that information through each time. So you don't have to fill this out every time. It's already in there. Okay, so basically I'm now just going to populate the information from the customer's questionnaire. Date of birth, name. If there's a middle initial, of course I want to add that. Occupation, whatever the person's occupation is. Again, I get this information from where? The client data sheet. Okay. I need the home number. Oops, got rid of it. Okay, work number, if there's a work number. Cell phone number. Email address. Okay, this text message. This is if the customer is interested in receiving a text message once their check comes in. Okay, we have the ability to text message them and say your check is now ready, or i.e. it's loaded on the card, whichever one meets their particular situation. So in this event, we would check that. And then in the cell phone carrier, if you look at the very bottom of the screen in the gray area, this gives you a choice. Okay? It has listed all the cell phone carriers and the email address that's associated with them. Okay, so we choose one, whichever one is we're looking for. Preferred contact, again, if we look at the very bottom, which is our cheat screen, guys, while you're filling out this return, in any area that you click in, okay, you can only populate the light blue areas. Okay, the light blue areas, anytime you stick your cursor there, If you look at the bottom, it shows you exactly what it's looking for. Not hard at all. It tells you exactly what it's looking for. In this case, it's asking, what's the preferred contact method? Okay? Cell phone. Okay? Then it's going to ask you for a filing status. Okay? If you click in that box, it tells you. 1, if they're single. 2, married filing jointly. 3, married filing separate. 4, head of household. 5, widow. Where do you get that information from? Again, it's on the client data screen. I mean, on the client questionnaire. Okay, so in this particular case, we're going to let's choose 1 for single. Okay. Once you choose 1 and you hit enter, it takes you directly to the next area that you have to fill out, which is the address screen. Okay, you simply fill that out. Fill out the address on it. As you hit enter, it's going to take you to the zip code. All you need is the zip code. Hit enter, it's going to populate the city and state. You do not need to fill out the APO, DPO, FPO, combat zone date. You don't need that. Okay, this is a common error that we've been running across with the banking information. Okay, if a customer already knows ahead of time that they're interested in direct deposit, okay, we can go ahead and capture that information now. Okay, but there's another area where we need to put that information as well, and we'll talk about it in a second. So let's just capture this information. Say their bank is Wells Fargo. You notice once I type that in, it'll allow me to pick the routing number. I'll put my account number in there. Okay, it's going to ask me for it twice, which I don't remember what it was. So I'm going to do it. Okay, so now, and whether it's checking or savings, I'm going to choose, just click in that box, and now it's checking. Now, this is a field that you have to, it's a required field, so you're going to have to fill this out, which is a client referral. So if you click on the choices box again, it gives you a list of choices. How did you obtain that client that's sitting in front of you? Was it from advertising, a client, referral? So let's use referral for example. You would simply click out referral, and I will put the name, of the person that referred them and their telephone number. What this does, guys, is allows us to track, how much and who we're paying the referral money to. Okay, the appointment information to prepare, that's not necessary. You don't have to fill that information out. Why? Because it's automatically pulling over on 8879. So I've done everything and filled out everything that I need to fill out on the client data screen. Okay. How can I check that? I can go verify. Okay? Once I hit verify, it's telling me what information I'm missing. So client data. Okay? It's showing me this. The healthcare coverage. This is a required field. This information has to be filled out. So it's asking, you want to ask this client, again, it's on the client questionnaire, but does the client have healthcare insurance? That's yes. Does the employee provide healthcare insurance? Does the spouse and all dependents have health care insurance? Yes. And then whether or not, if they would like to opt out of receiving the free USAP healthcare membership card. Up to them. If they want to opt out of it, simply put an X in that box. Every time that you finish a particular screen, you want to verify to make sure that there's nothing else that you're missing on that screen. Okay? So again, I'm on the client data, not the 1040, so there's nothing else that I'm missing on that screen. So now that I've gotten that filled out properly, the next thing I want to do is I want to take the customer's information, all their financial information, and we need to add that. So in this particular case, the customer gave me a W-2. Say they have one W-2. I simply go to Add Forms. The system will automatically default to W-2. And this is for the federal. And at the top, you'll see federal, you'll see index, pro forma, and state. Okay? If you are adding a state return, you simply go to the state tab, drop down box, associate that with the state that you're looking for. And here's the individual income tax return for that state. You double click on it and the system will automatically add it. Okay? So let's go back to federal first. So we're going to add a W-2. Filling this out is very simple. It asks for the employer identification number. If you look at the W-2, the employer identification number, you will see it's in box B on the W-2 that shows what the employer identification number is. I'm going to put that in there. Okay. Now, I'm going to fill out the rest of the information it's asking me to fill it out for the name of the company. All this information is listed on the W-2. I'm going to populate as much as the system will allow me. Okay. Now I have to address it. And address goes not on the line underneath it. It goes on the last line right before the city and state. So I'm going to put what's listed in there. And the zip. Automatically populate city and state. Now I just need to put the wages in. Okay, wages are located on the W-2 in box 1. So again, DMs, if someone calls in to you and like, I don't know where to put the wages off the W-2, it's always in box 1. It's going to ask for it twice to make sure that you're properly putting that in. And then it's going to ask for the federal withheld. That's always in box 2. Okay. Once I put that in, after you put in anything, you need to train them. After they input any documents whatsoever, the next thing they need to do is hit refresh. Okay? Once I've hit refresh, I'm going to change this number so we can actually show a return. Okay, once I hit refresh, the system will give me a federal return here to the left. Okay, this federal return that you see, that is the amount before any preparation fees. You don't want to quote that number. That's before preparation fees. Okay, so what we're looking at is that the customer is getting back before any preparation fees or other associated fees, $1,597. Okay. So now that we've gotten that W-2 in and we've refreshed, we want to verify. Let's see what we're missing. Okay. Again, on the 1040, it's asking me prepare type, so let's go here. Okay. It's always paid prepared. I'll put that information in there, hit enter. It's taking me to the next error, which is the 8879. Okay, on the 8879, it is always 5. Guys, regardless if a customer wants a check or direct deposit, it is always 5. I will show you where you put the direct deposit and check information. It is always 5 to start. Okay? So now that we've cleared all those out, let's verify again and see what we're missing. Okay. You notice there's errors now for bank app. By selecting 5, the bank app populated to the left here. Okay, so now the bank app is up. Okay, so let's take a look now and let's hit verify. And you notice that it's asking me for bank account information. Okay, it says bank account, no direct deposit. This is not where we fixed that error. Let me go back and show you again. Okay, bank account and no direct deposit information for this person. Okay, it's only an error because on the bank app, at the very bottom of it, under account information, okay, because the customer wants direct deposit, we need to check direct deposit here. Hit enter. Now, because we have this information on the client data screen, we can check this box for client pass-through account information, and it's going to automatically pull that information from the client data screen. Now, if by chance you don't have it on the client data screen, you can always add it on the bank app. Okay, so here's where you put direct deposit on the bank app, not on the 8879 on the direct deposit. You do it on the bank app. Okay, activating the rush card is the same way, which we'll get into that in a second. But let's again, if we added something, we want to refresh and let's verify, and let's see what we're missing. Okay, so it's saying I'm missing information on the bank app. It's not signed. Okay, before we get to that, let's determine how this customer preparation fees are. So if we go to Invoice and Billing tab, okay, we scroll all the way down, you will notice based on the number of forms we use and the type of form, the system automatically gave it a price. So if I go back to the bank app, which is where I can tell what the preparation fees are, it shows it in the tax preparation fees. Okay, tax preparation fees are $245. Audit add-on fee is $10. So the total prep fees is $255. The estimated that customer's estimated check, whether it be direct deposit, a live check, or on the rush card, is going to be for $1,219.15. Okay. Now let's go back to the Invoice and Billing tab. Let's say that the customer is interested in getting the Android tablet. Okay, they would like to pay the $49 for shipping. On the Invoice and Billings tab, where you add this is on the Invoice and Billing tab under Description of Services and Charges. Okay, under Predefined Charge, if you click in that box, it will give you a list of charges. You will see tablet shipping. You simply double click on that, and it will automatically add the $49 to the return. Now, if you go back to the bank app, okay, let's refresh. Okay, you notice the customer's return is lower because we added the shipping to it. So now their total preparation fees is $304.95, and the amount of their return is $1169.20. Now, you need to negotiate, or not necessarily negotiate, but to let the customer know prior to adding it, because once you add it, you cannot remove it. So let them know prior to, are you sure that you want the Android tablet and you'd like to pay for shipping? If you add it, you have to call corporate so that we can remove it, and call the support line, and we can go in and manually take out the Android tablet, because you can't do it from the local site. Okay? So now that you had that added, now let's just say that customer says, I went to H&R Block and that price is too much. You go back to Invoice and Billing tab and you scroll down to Discounts and Credits. If you look under the Predefined Discounts and you hit Choices, okay, what you'll see is you see the Family Dollar discount. Okay, so if there's an individual that's a Family Dollar employee, you check that, the system will automatically take 50% off of it. So I'm sitting here, let's just say I'm talking to Regan, and Regan says, yeah, that's just too much for it, and I'm normally used to this, I got this quote. You have the ability, your employees have the ability to take money off the preparation of the return. Okay, they can only do this with consent and prior approval from you to take that off. So you need to instruct your employees that in the event that they have a situation where the prices is too high, they need to negotiate something from that standpoint, then they need to call or contact their DM to get prior consent or approval and explain the situation and how much they're trying to take off. As a DM, you need to ask, what are the fees? What is the preparation fees? And how much you're taking off and why? Okay? If you're going to take off something, it comes off the preparation fees. It doesn't come, they still have to pay for the Android tablet. Okay, so they can choose one of these. Okay? In this case, let's choose this Family Dollar employee. We hit OK. Okay? So again, we chose something, so what do we need to do? We need to refresh the system, make sure that it got it. Okay, so if I go back to the bank app, now the check is $12.92.20 because it applied a 50% discount. Okay, so let's just say you run into a situation where the fees weren't high enough and you needed to add some to it. Okay, if you go back to the Invoice and Billing, and you go to line 9, okay? Line 9 or line 10, you can actually add a cost to it. So let's just say I wanted to add, I felt like I could add $50 to it, and that cost was not too much. And I refresh. And I go back to the bank app again to check the price. As you can see, it added $50 to the return. Okay, so the invoice and billing tab, again, as a refresher, this is where you populate for the Android, for the tablet shipping, any discounts, as well as if you want to scroll down and take a look at what individually each billing costs. Okay, where you get the amount of the customer's tax preparation and what their checking amount is going to be is on the bank app. Okay, now that I've done the return, I've finished it, customer's happy, now it's time to verify it out again to make sure I'm not missing any information. Okay, again, it's asking me to, on the bank app, you notice if I click on that, it takes me exactly where I need to go. Okay, so it's asking me for bank signature verification. Okay, basically, as the customer agreed to the charges, in this case, I want to put an X in there. Okay, I'm gonna hit verify again. It's gonna take me directly to where else I need to fill out. Okay, now it's asking me, is the taxpayer a citizen in the U.S.? Okay, put C in there. Okay, now it's gonna take me to the next area. Okay, now it's asking me for the client's driver's license or identification. Okay, I click in that box since it's already there. I hit choices, and what form of identification do they have? It's a driver's license. Double click that. ID number. I put in my ID number. I put in his ID number. The date issued. Okay, what state is that? Let's say it's Texas. And the expiration date. Okay, I hit that again. See, am I missing anything? So I got everything in that's verified. Okay, everything's successful. The return is verified successful. Okay, the return is verified successfully. I want to say, okay, only and only after the return has verified successfully can you have the customer sign the doc with the signature pad and get the return transmitted and ready to send out. You cannot do it before it is successfully verified out. Now that it has, the next thing that you need to teach them to do is we have to have the customer sign the documentation. So first thing we want to do, there's two print functionalities that we use. One in the orange bar that shows print. Right here, the print icon. And at the very top, above refresh, you'll see a small print icon. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is go to the big print. What this is going to do is allow us to sign the federal return. Okay, once that comes up, you're going to see sign doc. Okay. Basically, once we hit that sign doc, now it's asking for the taxpayer's signature. Okay, they sign it, you hit accept. Okay. Okay. The system is going to automatically pull up a PDF copy of what you're seeing. Now, let me exit out of this. It will also ask you to sign the doc if you haven't put in, if you didn't sign it on the paid prepared. That's why it's asking you to go ahead and sign it, because it don't have your signature. But if you get your employees to go ahead and sign it under the paid prepared, it will only ask for one signature. Okay? If not, then they have to basically sign their own. They have to sign it as well. Okay? It will ask you for an ERO signature. Leave the ERO signature blank. Okay? And then hit capture and go and hit OK. The next thing you have to do, let's go to the small print. Okay? What we want to do is print. The next thing they have to sign is their bank documents. You want to go print and bank documents. I want to hit sign docs. It's going to ask me, as a client already reviewed the bank docs? Yes. We're going to tell it okay. And it's going to ask for a signature, for the taxpayer's signature. They sign again, and we hit accept. Okay. Again, the system is going to bring up a PDF copy of it so you can see what it looks like with the signature on it. You simply want to exit out of that. And we want to hit close. Okay. We want to go check it, so we're going to go to the document archive, and you see it has the signed full tax return there and the bank docs. If I double click on this, it's going to bring it up. What I want to do in the document archive, I want to see the save a copy. That will come up. I simply want to save a copy of it to my folder that I create on my desktop called tax returns. It's already labeled by my name in the last in the year. And the reason I want to go ahead and do that, because now I want to email the customer a copy of their return. Okay? But now that we've gotten that done, now it's time for me to transmit. Again, I want to verify, make sure everything is complete on, is successful. Now is where I want to hit the transmit button. Okay? It will ask me to queue federal. And in your case, it will ask to queue federal and transfer. You want to check both boxes. Okay? Once you do that and you hit send, okay? Now that return is queued to be sent to the main office for CPA review and to be transmitted off to the IRS. And that's it. That is as simple as it is to fill in the return out. Go back to the work in progress screen, and then I'm going to hit transmit to main office again so that I can go ahead and send that return out, and you're done with, your rep is done with filing the return. Okay. We're going to do an example of the same client, but let's just say this client is head of household. Show you guys what to look for as it pertains to the 8867 and the system applying earned income. Okay, so now let's change the status to 4, because let's say this individual has a dependent. Okay, which means I have to input that dependent's information. I type in dependent's first name. Again, I get all this information from the client data screen. It will automatically generate an age. Relationship, if I look at my choices boxes, whatever the relationship is to that particular dependent that I'm carrying. Months, it is always 12 months. What that asks for is the dependent, you taking care of the dependent for at least 12 months. Okay? Everything else, as you see, will auto-populate, so you don't have to touch anything else. Okay? So in this particular case, I want to do 2 things. Let's see. Now, because of the amount of income, this person doesn't qualify for earned income, even with a dependent. Okay. So we're going to make some modifications just so I can show you guys. And let's change the amount of the W-2. Holdings. Okay, so I'm changing this just to reflect. Okay, so I want to refresh. Okay, now you'll notice 2 things. One, you notice the amount of return changed. All right. 2, you'll notice that over here on the screen, you see an 8867 prepared EIC checklist. Okay. Now, you can simply go over here and fill this information out, but the system has already made it very easy for you. If you hit verify, it's going to bring up the 8867. Okay? By clicking on this, it's going to take you directly to where you need to fill out to apply the earned income credit that they get. Okay? You don't have to determine whether or not they get it. The system is already determined. You just have to put an X in the box to where it takes you. So I put an X in that box. I'm going to verify again. It's going to take me to the next one. Put an X in this box. It's going to take me to the next one. Now, you notice by me filling out the 8867, look at the refund amount. The refund amount changed. It went up because the customer qualified. So I'm simply going to let the system take me directly to where it needs to go. And I'm going to fill that out. Okay? You can read those questions, but just it's dummy proof, guys. They don't even have to read them. It takes me directly to where I need to go. So now I answer all of them. I want to verify. Voila. Everything's verified successful. Okay? Obviously, you would do this prior to returning, to signing the return or anything like this, but this is an example of a dependent, someone that's filing head of household who has a dependent, and you notice that they haven't gotten any additional money and they have a kid, is because you haven't hit the verify button. If you have them hit the verify button, it will inform you if they qualify for earned income credit and what boxes you need to check it for them for the system to apply the money. Okay, guys, in terms of updating your system, now that we've updated the system, we got on the right software, you got the right EFIN down to you. All those changes that you made apply to anything new. They don't apply to anything that you may have had in there previously. So we need to go in there into each return and reflect those changes that we made. Okay, so first thing that I'm going to look at is a couple of different things that, as I'm looking at my work in progress screen for my employees, when I go around and check, a couple things. I want to make sure that the EFIN beside every last one of them, the DCN says 806-888. If it doesn't, it's not on the right one, and no matter what they've done, it's not getting transmitted to us. Okay? If you see 808-847, that is the wrong EFIN that it's on. Okay, that's on the wrong EFIN. Okay, it needs to say 806-888. So I'm going to show you how to fix that. Secondly, if you look at the type, if it does not say rack, then they did not check 5 on the 8879. If it says check or direct deposit or anything else, they did not check 5. You need to go in there and change it, which means that they did check 5. They didn't give the customer the accurate amount of their return nor what the fees were because they didn't check the bank out. Okay, so that needs to be checked. Okay, the status. What this tells you is the status of the return. Okay, so acknowledged means that it is acknowledged, the IRS has it. The return is in their hand, we're just waiting on it to fund. Okay? Once it funds, this status will change to check ready. Okay? Check ready is just a status, whether they're getting direct deposit, rush card, it will just inform you that the check is ready. Okay? Completed. Completed and acknowledged mean the same thing, and they'll both change the same thing. EF return means that nothing has been done with that return, it is just sitting on the system. Whether it's a test one or actual one that we just not sent it yet, that's what EF return means. RS reject means that it is rejected for some reason. In this particular case, if you look at this one, the minute that you pull it up, it's going to tell you what the error is. So if I look at the error and I go to details, it tells me the primary social and primary name control header must match the e-file database. Very simple what that means is that the name and the social and or the date of birth don't match. So I either put the name in wrong, put the social in wrong, or put the birth date in wrong. Okay, at that particular case, you need to instruct them, call the client back. Let me go through this information, make sure I have it correct. Okay, so let me get out of this, I'm sorry. So that's what every IRS just reject will tell you. Okay, refused by CS. What that means is typically it means that we've transmitted more than once. Okay, you're not going to see a lot of that, but if you do, it means that we've accidentally sent it more than once. Okay, so let's find one that we need to go in and fix. Okay, so as we go into this, you see ones that have the wrong EFIN number on here. Okay, the first thing you need to do is go to the database and check the EF originators. Okay? See, this one has the wrong EFIN. It's not selected. This is on some incomplete copy. Okay? It needs to be on the 806-888. Okay. Now, how we change that is you go to the client data screen. You open up the return, go to the client data screen. Okay? In the EFIN in the top right hand corner, I want you to stick your cursor in there and go down to the very bottom and select choices. Select the 806-888. Okay, and you want to refresh. Okay, the second thing that you need to do is go to the 8879. You need to right click on it and you need to remove form. Tell it okay. You need to go then to the add form and you need to add it back. Add back to 8879. Just type in 8879, double click on it. Okay? You want to put 5 back in it. Okay? And then the very last thing that you need to do is Control U. Control U will reload the billing. If some of you guys remember, the billing scheme that we had was a little bit too high, so we had to go change the billing. So now if I go to the bank app, I see what the prices and the fees are for this particular return. If I look at the 8879, it has the right EFIN number in here. On the bank app, everything is current. Okay, so now I need to go back and instruct my preparer that if they've already quoted the price, the price may be a little different. So again, to walk through those steps, we're going to the client data screen. We're clicking in the right top hand corner for the EFIN. We're going to choose choices. We're going to look for the 806-888. Select that. We're going to right click on the 8879 and remove that form. Tell it okay. We're going to add it back. Okay, we're going to stick 5 back in that box. Okay, we're going to hit refresh. And we're going to hit Control U to bring the latest billing scheme. Okay, you have to do that on any legacy ones prior to making the changes. Okay, so anything prior to you updating the system, if it was on any later version, you need to do that. Okay, so now if I verify it out, it's going to ask me to fill out all this information because I have the right information in there now. Okay, so now I need to fill out the bank app and the 8867, and I need to fill out all this information. So that's what you need to go back and do for all the legacy ones that you have in there that are expected to be sent out.